Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Game Pass Grab Bag, your weekly podcast reviewing games in the Game Pass collection, bringing you four unique perspectives for varying skill range. I am the explorer of this world, Andrew. With me, the one who quickly learns that their gravity can kill you, Keith.
Hello.
And with us, we have two guides to help us on this adventure. Our returning guest, Dave.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, that's
exactly how I want his intro to go. Uh-oh.
And another returning guest, you may remember her if you listen to our Stardew Valley, but Dave's wife, Amber. Thank you so much for joining us.
Heyo. Yeah, thanks for having me.
So this week we did a listener request. We had two people request that we check out Terraria by Relogic. So thank you so much to user Pitcher and Rich King from Spotify, who recommended that we play Terraria. Terraria is a 2D platformer RPG where you are a no-named character that you create, and you are basically given free roam in this world, and you are trying to free a corruption. I think that's about it. I don't know if there's any other real story to it. I tried looking stuff up, but I couldn't really find much. But yeah, Terraria. It's a action-adventure platformer survival game. But going around, Keith, was this a Gamer Pass for you?
I don't know why people keep doing this to me. I am just so not good at builder. This isn't really survival. I don't know.
I guess. Yeah,
I don't know what that word was, but it's not exactly that. But I just don't do well with these builder, mining, crafting games. I lose focus very quickly. It has a lot of really neat aspects. I can absolutely see why it's, I don't know, probably one of the most popular ones out there, but I don't think I'll probably be playing a lot of it after this. So no, really, no, it's a pass, I guess is what we'll just call that, yeah.
Very long roundabout pass?
Yeah, as I do.
So for me, I will say, this was a pass for me at first as well. I attempted to play Terraria, I think like 2 or 3 times. But honestly, the 2D aspect always turned me off. I didn't care for the building because of how it was 2D. I found it just really clunky. But since people actually requested we play this game, I finally sat down and put time into it. And this turned into a game for me. I had a lot of fun with Terraria. It starts off very difficult, and I found the tutorial to be decent. I know, Keith, you have different opinions on it. I thought it did a good job starting me off, but it still frustrated me because one of my biggest starting issues was learning how to place a freaking door. Like, I literally was looking up YouTube videos. I'm like, how do I put down a door? I couldn't figure out. I knew I needed to build wood walls, but I didn't know how to do the wood blocks. And then they were like, yeah, you attach the door to the wood blocks. And I'm like, well, how do I put the wood blocks? And then it literally took me 30 minutes. And looking up YouTube videos, finally I stumbled upon it. So this game is a bit of a learning curve, but I had a lot of fun with it, especially with co-op.
No one had made a video on that because they're like, I don't know, you just don't need to know how to do that. You'll figure it.
People know how to place a door, and here I am Googling it. But what about you, David Amber? Where's Terraria land with you guys?
I really liked Terraria. It was definitely a wonderful game to play. So it was really fun. I also resonate with the ridiculousness of difficulty in building things. Once you got the hang of it, it was, pretty easy. I like the customization. Yeah. You could customize everything in Terraria. You can make your world small. You can make it large. Yeah. If you just want like a quick little world building game, exploring game, like you can do your world size small. You can make it bigger if you have a lot of time. But I love Terraria. The only drawback I would say for us and for me personally was that when we did defeat the final monster, that it irrevocably goes into the hard mode, and I didn't want that. I just wanted easy. Like, I beat all the bad guys. Like, I just want to walk around and enjoy my super cool 7-story mansion that I made with all my doors. And I never got that. So
thank you for adding that quick jab to me there. That you had doors.
Mm-hmm. Yes, there was doors in the walls and the ceiling. There are doors everywhere.
What about you, Dave?
This was a game for me. I liked the co-op a lot. Me and Amber got to play it split screen, which is always fun to find a game that she takes to. I also think it's kind of I know you said it has a steep learning curve, but I think people can really decide how they want to play this game, which is like you don't have to fight the bosses. Some people just build things. Some people just build like pictures and like out of like the windows and doors and all the backgrounds and stuff. It's kind of, depends on how you want to play it. So I thought that was kind of cool, but I thought it had a lot more compared to like Minecraft, which was the other game like this I tried. I thought it had a little bit more direction, which I liked.
Yeah, I actually fully agree with that. But yeah, so let's start off. So getting into the story of Terraria. So as you probably heard from the beginning here, Terraria is a very large game. Me and Keith, we've barely scratched the surface. So luckily Dave and Amber here are here to give us more guidance. They both have beaten the game together, so they are way more knowledgeable to this than we are. But as far as story goes, I don't know, Dave and Amber, can you fill us in? Is there a story? I know you're fighting Lovecraftian monsters. I know you kind of fight Cthulhu, but he's technically not like the final boss. Do you guys know, is there really a story? I know you find some NPCs.
I don't think so. I mean, there's it's kind of environmental storytelling a little bit, but it's not like it's a lot of fill in the blanks.
Okay, that's kind of what I was getting.
In my opinion.
Okay, so as far as the story, you're not playing Terraria for the story. You're obviously here to explore, build, collect things. And yeah, so I want to first start off with the accessibility of this game. Amber, I'm glad you brought it up because this is one thing that really impressed me when I first started playing Terraria. The game is a little bit like Valheim, which we did a little bit before, where you are creating a character, and the character you can bring to multiple different worlds. So as you're collecting things and getting equipment for it and leveling it up, and it has more hearts and mana, you can keep bringing that character to your friends' realms and kind of help them out, and it's nice and overpowered. And I like that you can create the difficulty with the character from super easy to super hard. Keith, being the observant person he is, created his character on the harder side.
In all fairness, that character was created, I think, in 2018. Before, I don't even know if Terraria was on Game Pass, or maybe it had just come to Game Pass. I don't know. But yeah, I had Worlds from back in like December 2018, and that's when that character was created. But yes, I created it on the medium core, where you don't lose your character, but you drop all of your items every single time you die. And
boy, did Keith die a lot.
There's a lot of falling boulders, a lot of unexpected drops,
lava, monsters.
There's a lot of ways to die in Terraria, and I was just trying to see if I could check all the boxes and find all of the different ones. So I don't just call me, quality a QA expert there. I was just trying to check out all the ways to die in Terraria.
But yeah, so I created my character as Classic, which is awesome because when you die, all you do is lose some money. You still keep all your items. Which, man, that made the game so much more enjoyable because it was just annoying for me to guide Keith back down to the caverns to find his body and guide him and watch over him. But I loved the difficulty Terraria, so I found the difficulty more accessible, but like as I said, the building was more difficult.
Well, so us being the less knowledgeable two here, and it kind of shows. You were playing on a normal size map. I was playing on a tiny. Yeah. What size map did you guys beat it on?
I think medium or large. Right?
I think it was the large one.
Well, because
we played for a while.
One of the things I was curious about is that because I was on the tiny world, like Andrew was running into elements that he hadn't even seen in his world, and you'd probably put 10 plus hours, I'm guessing, at that point into your world.
Yeah, probably about.
So within a matter, my world had been created probably within an hour of when he joined, and we were immediately finding high level stuff.
That's the problem with the tiny worlds is they are harder right away.
I found it to be a perk.
Yeah,
it was easy
nice
finding stuff.
We were finding everything we needed super quickly, and even when I was losing all of my stuff, which I inevitably changed, I made myself a classic character to alleviate all of that. But it seemed like even if I was losing stuff, we could pretty quickly just rebuild back up everything that I had or rebuy what I had because everything was coming so quickly.
I know when we first started playing, we played with I think it was a medium world, and we found that, did you guys ever experience the corruption of the Crimson?
The Blood Moon?
No, not the Blood Moon. They're
what is the corruption? I saw the Dryad talk about it, but I didn't quite know what it was.
There's two types of things that basically take over the map. There's one that's called the Crimson. It's like this red stuff, and it kind of turns the world around it dead, but red, like this reddish color. And then there's the Corruption, which is like a black, basically, that takes over the map.
Okay, I think I've encountered the Corruption.
Okay, yeah. And certain enemies will live in it, like they only live in that thing.
Is it like certain parts of the map?
It is, but it's an expanding. Unlike, say, like most maps have like a desert and stuff like that. Yeah, they don't expand; they just are. But the other ones, the Crimson and the Corruption, expand. They actually take over.
Is the Corruption? Does the Corruption have like these little plants with like spiky teeth, and they glow purple?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Yeah,
that's one of them.
Those, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we definitely saw some of those.
They changed that a lot in the newer updates since we've played more. So
that's interesting. How does it just spread naturally? Is there something that you can do to cause
I've heard
spread?
Plants help, like flowers and stuff. So like I said, it was a small part of the game when we were playing, but it's actually become a much bigger part of the game in more recent updates.
I was gonna say I could see if you're killing like an instant like bunnies and stuff a bunch, that'd be like the Corruption.
Which I was killing a ton.
Every time there was a bunny, its head was coming off.
Don't get in my way.
Which it did surprise me kind of how gory this game is, but you can turn the gore off. But yeah, as soon as I'm like killing a bunny and it's like decapitating them, I'm like, okay, I should probably not do this in front of my 3-year-old.
Ava and Mia were sure to show me that when they first started playing.
They thought it was hysterical.
Yeah. Look what we can do.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, great.
Great job, kids.
Should I be worried?
Need to get a psychologist here. But I gotta say, the one thing I do love about Terraria, though, I thought the action in the game was really impressive because the game starts off kind of basic. Okay, it first was annoying me because this game does not hold back at throwing enemies at you. Like, here I am trying to figure out how to set up a door, and like zombies or slimes are constantly in my face, and I'm just like trying to fight things. How did you guys feel with the combat in this game? Because I enjoyed it, but it also frustrated me so badly at the beginning. I felt like it really added to the learning curve.
Oh yeah, it was awful. I hated like your first night is pretty much a dumpster fire. Like you are so happy when the music changes. And it is like truly you get to see the face of Jesus when that morning time comes. The first night. The second night is a little better, but not much. But the first night is awful.
Yeah.
And again, like you're already scrounging. You don't really have any weapons. Or if you do, it's a terrible weapon.
Yeah.
And if you actually found anything worthwhile, you probably almost died trying to get down into a cave like Keith did. And so... It's difficult for sure. As the game goes on, though, like a lot of things you kind of figure out, okay, this is what works, this is what doesn't. And I think that's just kind of like the mantra to literally every aspect of this game. Whether it is fighting zombies at night, surviving a blood moon, insert literally building doors, we can keep going.
I like that we're just going to keep going back to building doors as a roadblock in
Can
this
you
game.
make that the title, please? Like, Terraria, building doors.
Hold on. Well, Keith, you can't make fun of me. When I joined your game, Keith literally built half a house. Like, it was more just to keep zombies back. Because Keith's
like a wall.
Yeah, it wasn't even like
I had a
wall.
door. There was a door on it, though. I can tell you that. I didn't have the walls finished in the back. I hadn't placed the door or the table and the chair, but the door was on there. And so, how was your house doing, Andrew?
I mean, it's better now, but it struggled at first. It just... Okay, because in my defense, what irritated me about why I couldn't figure out how to place, like, actual wood blocks is because the design of when you dig up dirt, and a dirt block is literally a square icon. You know, when you find an ice block, it's a square icon. But the wood is a stick. Like, that's their icon. It didn't appear as a wooden block. So for the longest time, that was my struggle. I couldn't figure out how to create a wooden block to make a wall.
Well, and you can create an item called a wood wall, and you're like, oh, well, that would make sense to be.
Yeah, but that doesn't.
wall.
Yeah, you create a wood wall, but that's just for the background. And I'm like, that's great for the background, but I need something for the front.
So that piece, and I think I said it to you last night when we were playing, is really my one gripe about the tutorial. You made a comment about me having issues with the tutorial. That's really it, because the tutorial has a pre-built house. It doesn't walk you through the process of placing the walls or anything like that. It just says, hey, build a workbench, build a chair and a table. You're good. I wanted to just give me that extra 5 to 10 minutes of walking me through that, and then I think that's a perfectly fine tutorial. Everything else is, at the very least, intuitive enough for its genre that I can figure out what I'm supposed to do. But that was a little bit frustrating, just being like, I don't quite know how to do this.
Yeah. I thought the tutorial did a decent job really kind of giving you your legs, because I wish I started with the tutorial. I didn't, because like I said, I tried this game like 3 or 4 times. So I was like, yeah, I'm sure I remember it. I kind of know things. I know how to build stuff, but apparently I don't. It gave you your legs to kind of start to walk, because it reduced the enemies and stuff like that, so you kind of play around more. But yeah, there's a ton in Terraria. Like, I was just watching videos, and like, you're first starting off with like, oh, here's a wimpy sword. But when you're seeing like future videos, people are flying through the sky, shooting lasers, throwing swords. There's like these crazy monsters fighting you. It's like, what is going on in this game? This game goes, I feel like, from 0 to 100.
There's a real lot. What's cool is as you get more established, like you build that initial house, and then you upgrade your house and make it good, but then you kind of figure out that you have to kind of basically go on mini expeditions. And that's what we would do, is like during the day we'd say, hey, we're going to explore either in a direction or underground, and that would be kind of be what we did. And that's how you kind of find more stuff and upgrade things.
So who was the builder between you two, Dave and Amber?
I think I did more of the building. We both did. I mean, by the end, we were both building a lot.
Anytime we play these games, I take Liz for granted. She does 90% of the building.
Yeah,
I'll do the collecting and fighting.
It was only at the end that our house got like really. It was very practical for most of the game. Like, we were very kind of like, hey, we're gonna.
We were the upper middle class of Terraria.
We had the glass house by the end and all that stuff.
Yeah,
it was pretty cool.
I told you, we were the upper middle class. The glass house, we had windows.
Yeah, it was cool.
We had like wood paneling with candles on it. It was nice.
I have like one painting.
Aw.
Mine had a bunch of statues. Is there ever a point where it's a bit like Grounded, I guess, where it's like tower defense-ish or base defense? Like, obviously you have to fight off yourself, but do they attack your base, or do you build towers, anything like that?
I know there's a goblin invasion event that happens, and the goblins attack you.
We did like a main building, and then we had offshoots to get to. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which was helpful, because like if you were in the desert area, you didn't have to try to traverse your large world to get back to your house. If it was getting dark
tip.
at night. And
I
so,
should do that.
Yes, I highly recommend doing that, because there were multiple times where we were deep in some cave somewhere, and like we would just build a door and hang out in a cave all night, because it was a blood moon and we needed to be safe.
Yeah. Most of the time, if you're underground at night, though, you're fine, because the zombies just don't come to you. You'll fight the other stuff.
They don't listen to him. They do come to you.
Not really.
Yes, they do. They find you. No. If you're like a super great level, then you'd probably be okay. But I get angsty fighting zombies, and there'd be like 7 of them, and they'd all just like hang out.
But playing co-op was nice, because especially that first night, like you were saying, when it was really stressful, one of us could fight while the other one built, and so we could get things done. By yourself, it's really hard. And it's a lot harder, I imagine, than having...
I gotta say, majority of my time I've done solo, and I actually enjoy playing solo Terraria. Like, it's obviously not ideal. Obviously, any game you play usually with co-op is way better, but I felt like I wasn't struggling. Granted, I only beat 2 bosses, but I beat them, so I guess it's something. Because I don't think the difficulty changes at all with like added people, so I think just adding people just makes it easier, because you just have more people attacking. But I think you could have up to 16 people in a game.
It's a lot.
Which is... Yeah.
I mean, that's, I suppose, how you build some of these ridiculous things that people built. Like, I said it to you, Andrew, when you first said we were going to play this, we were going to play Terraria, and you didn't believe me, so I looked it up. But someone built a full on like 16-bit computer inside of Terraria using all the, different electronics and switches and stuff that you can do. Like,
that's crazy.
Yeah, and it's like it was like a 16-bit computer that could play Pong, I believe. So it's, I don't know, like that's a ridiculous amount of just time and design and all of these things that I find incredibly impressive. But I am just, and obviously that's not the only way you can have fun with Terraria. I understand that. I don't have the thought process to be like, I don't know, I'm going to do this with my game. I need a game to guide me a little bit.
Yeah. I'm the same way. But that's what was like kind of a turnoff for me at first with Terraria. Like I said, the 2D aspect of it, it looks like a child's game, which I mean, I don't know, kind of is.
Like Minecraft.
But is it? I don't know. Yeah. This was always blows my mind with a game like this, where you're just like, oh yeah, it's super simple and basic, like a 3-year-old can do it. But then you get like I said, when you're seeing these videos and how insane this game gets, it's like, what is happening? And yeah, this game kind of catches you out of left field of like, if you're not prepared, like you're gonna drown real quick. So Dave, I don't know if you said it yet, but you ended up buying a wiki for Terraria, right?
Yeah, although it doesn't work anymore. It's apparently I just tried to pull it up and I was like, nothing works on it. So
yeah, because I mean, there's plenty on the internet now.
Yeah,
but how hard? Like, how much did you have to look up in this game?
I mean, how to craft things. It's changed again a lot. I played it with my kids recently, and they've made how to craft a lot easier. And a lot more straightforward.
Oh, it's easier?
Oh, yeah. It was before you basically had to use a wiki. Like, you had to... Okay. You just to know what things to put together to... Like, what you needed to get things. So, it's definitely easier now.
I still had a hard time making a door and helping them make the door.
Yeah. Okay. Let's...
Just saying.
Yeah.
I knew how to make it.
I would say too.
This is just getting hurtful at this point.
Well, I would say that doing this game on a tablet or like your phone is much, much harder than doing it on like an Xbox or another gaming system.
You think so? Not for building. I think it was much, for combat, probably.
I thought for building, trying to build a door and place a door on a Kindle or another tablet device was atrocious.
So she's being serious, actually, about this door.
Yeah, I am.
How's it work? Like, did you actually have to like drag your finger with the door?
Mm-hmm. Drag and drop, and it was very like clunky, and it was kind of like either you were 3 steps back or 1 step forward from where you needed it, and it wasn't exactly where you needed it to be. So I felt like on anything other than like a gaming system, this game would be really, really difficult, and you just wouldn't get the full enjoyment out of it for that reason. So I wouldn't recommend it for a phone or a tablet.
The PCs where most of the people build the crazy stuff.
Yeah. I mean, like playing this, that's kind of exactly what I kept thinking. I'm like, this feels like it's meant for PC.
Yeah.
I found it to be a little clunky with the controller because, I mean, when me and Keith were playing, it was so difficult. I had a potion that let me teleport to a teammate, and I'm like, okay. And it says in the potion, open the player menu and select the person. I'm like, well, where's the player menu? It literally took me like 15 minutes to figure out where the heck the player menu is. And then even when it did, it was grayed out to teleport. I'm like, well, this makes no sense. Then it took me about another 15 minutes to realize, you can change your team? I was like, Keith, go to red team. Maybe this is how I do it. So me and Keith went to the red team, and then it worked. It was like, this took like 20 steps just to use the stinking potion.
There were some things that literally didn't work when we were playing that were PC features.
Yeah. But yeah, like, I thought it's fine on the controller. Like, I still obviously, I mean, you guys obviously beat it. So, like, it's obviously doable, but yeah, this definitely feels like it was meant for PC. But I gotta say, the one thing, I don't know if it was there when you guys were playing, but the smart cursor feature is really nice. Like, the smart cursor feature, the way it kind of describes is, like, as you're building a platform, it's, like, semi-intelligent of, like, kind of figuring out what you're doing. So it can kind of keep building a specific path or, like, route, and it just kind of makes it cleaner and easier. But you can also quickly, with the click of the right stick, turn it off so you can see a grid and put things in a very precise location if you want to be more precise with your building. So I love this quick feature of turning it on and off of, like, do I want to do something quick and throw up some walls, or, you know, or do I actually want to, like, take time and design things? But yeah, so I was surprised that worked well with the controller. But yeah, I thought the interface, I still cannot figure out if there's a way to look at what buffs you have active. because I see buffs underneath my character's health bar, but I'm like, I don't know what they are. I have a smiley face, so hooray, I got the smiley buff. I don't know what that is, but I think it's good.
I feel like we used to know. I'm not sure how we did. I feel like that was something that you can find out.
Yeah, I'm sure there is, but I couldn't do it. There's a lot of like button mapping in this game that you kind of have to like progressively learn.
Well, that is one thing that I personally didn't care for is it gives you all of the controller layout like on the screen at all times, and I'm sure there's a way to turn this off too. What like along the bottom of the screen, it tells you what all the different buttons are doing, and you can hold this button and it changes the menu and tells you a whole bunch of different buttons you can push, and it's super overwhelming to just constantly have like wait, what am I looking at? What am I trying to do? You get used to it and it flows a lot better, but at the beginning of it, I was constantly trying to like read it and like maybe this is what I'm trying like missing on what I'm trying to do or whatever it might be, but I much to no avail usually.
But one thing you pointed out, Keith, gotta praise this game for. We talked about it with any sort of resource building game. This game does have a quick deposit and a quick actually looting option, which is so good. If you're clicking on a chest, like there's an option where you can quick deposit things. But actually, if you keep all your chests within a close area, you can do quick deposit and it literally throws all the things that's in your inventory and it scatters them to all the chests that have the things. I love the organization of this game. It made it so much easier.
And
because there's
a ton of
resources.
The sort function, it has a sort function, which is probably one of the best I've seen in any one of these management games, because when it sorts it highlights all of the different categories of items in a different color, which then fades out, so it's all easier to look at in one neutral color, but it does that sort feature, and so you're like, okay, I know this is my consumables, these are my building, these are my resources, and like you just know by that, and it makes it a lot easier to look at and manage that way too. So I have a lot of praise for that aspect of the game for sure.
So Dave and Amber, I saw as you guys kind of play this game a bit more, they talk about that you can kind of choose, well, not choose a class, but how did you guys play? Like, what was your guys' play style? Did one of you guys do magic? Did one of you guys do more summoning creatures? Did one of you do melee? Or are you just a hodgepodge of everything?
One of us was ranged attacking while one of us was melee.
It was me. I was the ranged person.
Yeah. So later on, you get like more fancy weapons than just like the basic sword. You get like lightsabers and like laser guns and stuff like that. And so we kind of had the mix of those. And then, did you guys get the friendly NPCs?
I have, I think, 6 of them.
Okay.
And you knew a bunch in my world, right?
You have, I think, 4.
Yeah.
You had enough to get the first boss, Keith, which you need 4.
I thought
I think you have 5.
Oh
no, I'm up to 8. I'm up to 8. That's what I meant.
As I say, I thought there was like 5 or 6 in mine, but I don't remember. I wasn't paying attention. You were just building houses, and I was
because your house sucked, Keith. You were building a single individual hovels, and they were like scattered everywhere, and it was just you just kept dropping things. You're just like, yeah, I'm putting my furnace here, and then like down the road is where my workstation is. Your setup sucks so bad. And like when I joined your game, I'm like, this is giving me anxiety. I gotta fix this, Keith.
It was good for exercise.
Live my life. Yeah, there's an achievement.
Your life is depressing.
26.2 miles, so could have been doing that if you were just letting me do what I wanted to do.
You know, thank God you were in a tiny world, because everything was just scattered everywhere. It was an interesting experience, like seeing what like Keith being playing solo, then jumping into his game.
What is all this stuff?
Yeah, I know,
again,
weird.
you jumped in when I was like 45 minutes into that world. It wasn't as though like I had put 4 hours into that.
But David Amber, since I only got to play 2 of the bosses, I wanted to get more of an aspect from you guys. How are the bosses in this game? Because the 2 I fought, I thought were fun, but yeah, I found them pretty difficult.
They're hard. They're very challenging.
Yeah. Especially the last boss was very, very challenging for us. But I thought, all the bosses were pretty hard. Like, we would be pretty equipped, and we'd go and fight some of these guys, and we'd be like quickly die and realize, oh, no, we're not ready for them. So it gives you a reason to get better and to like upgrade more, I thought. And then, eventually, again, having co-op, I think, was really helpful, and we were able to come out.
I couldn't imagine doing this as a single player. It'd be really, really awful.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys
would
just
not
did it with
play
2
it as a
players.
single player.
Yeah.
I would quit. So the Eye of Cthulhu.
No, it's the wall.
No, it was the Eye.
That's the wrong one.
It was the Eye.
The eye's not the end boss.
The other thing though moves across the screen.
Right.
Okay, well, either way, one of the last guys. Obviously, I am an expert at remembering all the things. The important thing is that we had tried to beat the sucker like 7 times, and we had gotten just completely destroyed, and so we had him down to like the last little health bar, and then David and I die, and David's down there by himself in the pit of Terraria in like the hell world. And he's down there fighting him. And then David dies. And I had just been regenerated. So I had to travel all the way from my gigantic, middle class house all the way back down to the dungeon part of the hell world with all the lava to this thing. Because he only had a little bit of health. And if I made it in time and shot it, we would probably win. And like I'm going as fast as I can, like just free falling, trying to get to this terrible monster. And if the monster goes off the screen, it's the end and you lose.
It resets it.
Yep, and you have to do it again. And I could see him going off the screen, and just out of angst, I just shot my magic wand and like watch him go off the screen, and he died off screen, and we won. Literally won. It was the best because I think David and I threw our controllers down like Gronk style. Just Gronk spiked our controllers and we're hugging each other and high-fiving. There might have been champagne involved because I could not believe that we beat this guy. But again,
I was just curious how many attempts you guys had taken. If you're
more than 5.
It was probably more than 10.
It might have been
He
more
was.
than 10. Yeah,
We got him
rough.
close a few times, and like Amber said, once you died, because it was just such a far journey to get back to him, that's what made it so difficult. We had built train cars to take us down further into the mines. Otherwise,
And it still took you too long to get down there? Wow.
It would have. Like I said, I just fell because I was like, if I don't get to this thing, we're not going to do it. And almost killed myself in the process. But
That's crazy.
the train cars were helpful though for getting down fast. I would recommend that if you're going to play this for
you
a
can
long
also,
time.
I think we realized it after, you can set up beds and stuff. Like you can make
you can make like little houses to sleep down
even
there.
in the mines.
With fire to heal
Oh.
yourself, like down, like make a little cave home for yourself with a door.
Yeah, I saw a lot of tips online of people saying like you can generally know where a boss fight's going to be and to build an arena. Like you build an area, like clear an area, set up fire pits to heal you. Like there's like I saw a bunch of tool tips on like how to build the best arena for like certain fights.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's a lot of really cool tool tips you can find up online.
Yeah, there
And
was.
this is
Which bad guy was it that we built the like platform that we had that we would stay on top of, and he would just fly underneath us, and we would just shoot him, and David would melee, and that's how we beat him, and it wasn't that bad.
Huh?
So I agree with that tip. That's very helpful.
Yeah.
But you guys enjoy the boss fights?
Yeah, I like them. They were, like I said, they were hard, and I feel
were
like they
hard.
gave you, for me at least, they gave me direction. I think I'd be more like Keith, where just kind of knowing what to do. Like, oh, hey, what direction do I want to go with this game?
Yeah.
Like that's how I feel with Minecraft. Is like I'm not really sure
same here.
what do I want to do. There's so much I can do here, but what do I want to do? So having something like, hey. Here's a boss. I know how to fight bosses, and this guy's hard enough that I actually have to do something in order to beat him. Why don't I go try to do that?
Yeah, that's 100% how I am too. Like if I'm given too much creativity, I end up doing nothing. Because like in Minecraft, I know there's an end boss, and you can get to him and do something, but I'm just like, hey, it's too much. I don't know what to do. Yeah, that's one thing I was really liking about Terraria, because like you were saying, you don't have to fight these bosses. Some of them I feel like you do. Like the very first one, the Eye of Cthulhu, that one kind of comes at you because once you get some people in your village, it just attacks you. But I feel like after that, you kind of got to start searching for these bosses. Like I said, I found 2. The second one I actually stumbled upon. I had a potion that just teleports you somewhere random. Like it just anywhere. And it literally teleported me at the old guy, and he was like, and I talked to him, and it said curse, and the guy just turned into a skeleton and started attacking me, and I was like, oh, okay, this is happening. So I love that I actually stumbled upon this boss. But Yeah, I love just the weird things you find in this game, because even too, I found the crafting to be difficult, but there's like all the good stuff I'm finding in chests. As you're just exploring the caves, there's so much just loot everywhere. And I would just find a magic wand. Keith found a gun. I found a new sword. And I loved that aspect of it, of just like really exploring this world and just like finding treasure. But yeah, I still had an issue knowing what to do when it came to crafting. I saw that the guide, the very first NPC you get in your town, if you have like iron bars, you can go to the guide and say, I have these iron bars. And he literally shows you all the things that can be made with the iron bars. And it kind of gives you some guidance like, oh, you want to make this sword, you need this ingredient with the iron bars. And it'll say maybe the crafting station you need. So I was impressed that the game did a decent job guiding me. But in the end, I still had to look up some stuff on the Wikipedia. Like, I found this weird slime dude called Smithers who just kept grumbling at me, and I'm like, what is this thing? I don't get what's going on. Then I found out that there's like a bunch of slimes you can collect that are pets. But it was just like, okay, like this is really weird. What is this thing? Yeah, so I love the exploration in Terraria. To me, it always felt like there was something new and exciting in the next cave or the next turn. It was cool.
Yeah, that was my favorite part of the game, personally, was like the way we built our house. Is like, so that we built our house and we kind of built it to be functional, but then we just built basically like a small entrance into the caves from it. And like I said, nighttime and stuff, that's where we'd go. And we just kind of used that to explore. So by the end, we had like this crazy network of caves, that we went down into. And you could just, like you said, you'd go one direction and you'd explore and find something, and then go somewhere else and find something else. And it was cool.
My house is a very ugly wooden skyscraper. It just shoots straight up. It's not pretty, but I'm okay with that.
Have you guys made it to like the cloud world?
No.
Okay.
I still, that's the other thing I'm looking. I know you can fly, so I'm just looking for something to fly. I have a double jump and a grappling hook.
There's a jetpack you can get. And
I haven't gotten that.
Or something. I can't remember.
I think there's wings.
I know you can eventually go to space too.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know about the space.
Oh, so that must be new then from when you guys played. Yeah, I know there's a whole other world up above that there's a bunch of like little islands and stuff like that.
The enemies up above are actually really difficult. The cherubim looking things there. they have like
really hard to kill.
They shoot something from like a staff, if I remember.
Is that part of how you beat the bosses, or like part of where you find bosses, or what you need to?
Yeah, is it an optional place?
I don't think there were any bosses up there.
No,
I think there was
just,
but all the stuff you get from up there is really good.
Yeah.
Like any of the drops you get and stuff from the enemies.
Oh,
so a lot of treasure chests. And I won't say a lot.
See, because that's another thing that really always turns me off about these kind of games is like there tends to be kind of a brick wall of like, hey, yeah, you're getting iron. And you have to beat this boss, but you can't progress until you beat this boss. But like the best things you're going to get is iron. So to me, it was just like, this game's forcing me to have friends and get a co-op partner, and in order to take this boss out to progress kind of the game. But obviously, you guys beat the game with just you two, and that's one thing I loved is that this game does feel like it has so many avenues of exploration and building and like being able to get things, because your character doesn't really quite level up. You find ways to increase your maximum health and your mana count, but it's not like, I'll just keep fighting slimes, leveling up till I get to level 100, and then I'm sure I can beat this boss then. But I just loved it, like in everything too. Like I noticed anytime you're crafting something, it's whenever you create something, it's a different quality. Like things will range from like kind of it's okay, it's green, to blue, to purple, to like legendary. So like you could just create a basic sword and it might come out as like a legendary sword and has a bunch of attributes to it. And that's one thing I loved about this game. To me, I never felt like I was stuck. I always was like, if I can just find better armor or weapons, I can do this. So that's why I felt okay playing solo.
Yeah, I know we weren't super efficient with like getting our guys better, but we still were able to do it. I know there were faster ways to do what we did, but for us, for us too, we were still able to do it, not knowing much and just kind of, goofing around with it, I feel like.
I was pretty good at moving around without armor.
Keith was naked majority of the time.
Well, I mean, there's, because I dropped my stuff or I just never built any. Variety of reasons.
Yeah, that's true. You actually didn't build any for the longest time.
Yeah, for my new character, I just hadn't built any because I built like I mentioned, a classic character, so I didn't drop my stuff every time I died, which still was very frequently. So that was a thing. But at the very least, I kept my stuff, so that was nice.
That would be nice.
But so you guys talked about the designing of your house. I wanted to ask you, how much time do you think you put into your game to beat it?
Well, I think they have a ticker counter that tells you how many hours you play.
We were probably over 30 at least.
Oh, yeah. We were well over 30 hours.
30, 40.
Oh.
Yeah. We explored our map almost fully. And it was a large one, so...
according online, the average time to beat is 50 hours.
Yeah. We were probably close to that.
I wanted to ask you guys, so there's surprisingly a lot you can do in this game as far as decorations and stuff. The game is very, like I said, when I first looked at it, it's just a 2D pixelated game. I didn't think much of it of what can you really do to design? Does anything really look that good? But the customization in Terraria and the graphics overall, I was actually really impressed to what you can do. Like I said, mine's kind of an ugly wooden skyscraper, but I still at least had a couple paintings here and there, and I tried playing with wallpaper, but it was way too expensive, and I was just I don't feel like wasting money. But what did you guys think of the art style of Terraria?
I think overall it was pretty cool. I mean, from what I explored in my tiny world there's enough different biomes that feel like they change as you go through them, whether it's the desert, rural, or kind of desertish ones, forest, the snow and ice, as you progress down into hell where it's all fire and lava. I thought it was generally all pretty good, and it, I don't know, kind of like Minecraft, it fit what it needed to accomplish, and using that sort of simplistic design allowed it to have so much depth because you could just do so much with it, I guess. So I think it's perfect for it.
I thought the graphics were great. Like he said, I think it was perfect for what it was trying to do. Things people have made since are just incredible, but that's, I think on the practical side, it was cool to even, when we started making our house more pretty and versus fully functional, it was cool to be able to do that.
Yeah, I was impressed. Like I said, seeing later videos of when your character is getting crazy of flying around, throwing laser swords everywhere. To me, everything looked well designed. That even as me, who didn't know what the heck was going on, I still could see what was going on. To me, I was okay, yeah, I can see this is the guy's attack, this is the enemy's attack. Especially with the boss designs. The boss designs too are what also kind of threw me off, because this game's kind of a magical looking forest, there's bunnies around, but the bosses are very grotesque looking. I mean, the final boss is literally a massive wall of flesh that shoots these gross bloody claws, and it's giant gaping mouths. The art design of Terraria is really impressive.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, because I like too that even though it's 2D, you're still building in the background, which was really surprising to me. I would not expect that, where it's yeah, you're actually putting stuff in the background. And I couldn't, now that Keith, you're mentioning of people creating artwork, I don't know if you noticed, but you can find paintings in random abandoned houses and stuff like that. And I always noticed that it always gave artist credit. And now thinking about it, are people creating paintings and the developers are literally taking those and creating paintings out of them that you can hang up in your apartment?
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me.
I know, I didn't confirm it either, but that's what I assume now, because literally it was always it gave credit to an artist, and there was always a username of Jimmy the Nerd, and it's okay. I'm assuming that's not a real artist name, but now it's oh, it probably is a user. The famous Picasso Jimmy the Nerd.
I would say too is I forgot about this, but the NPCs, when you get your house so big, you get little people to come and live with you, and you can build the rooms in your house. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And so the stylist, and you can have different people come and change your clothing and do stuff for you. That was cool. Yeah,
different dyes. You can wear vanity clothes, so if you don't just want to look like you're wearing that armor, you can want to look like you're in a suit. Yeah, the customization in this game is really impressive for something that I thought was so simple. And the other thing that really surprised me about Terraria, I really like the music. Some of the songs, every area had its own different soundtrack. And I loved that because every time I was going to an area, the soundtrack changed drastically. And I loved the soundtrack.
There was one in particular that sounded like Zelda music to me, and I liked that one.
One sounded a little bit like Mario.
Yeah, I think the original one sounded kind of like a Mario one, the one in like the regular biome, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
really
pretty much it. I listened to it a lot. Like I said, I looked for platinum for a long time. Hours looking for platinum.
Oh, man. I love the soundtrack. Some of the zombies noises and stuff that you're hearing a lot of would get a little annoying, and like hearing the constant hitting things. But besides that, the soundtrack was so good. But that being said, this definitely was not a game you need to have music on. You definitely could turn this off and listen to a podcast or something. But you're also not, I feel like you'd be missing out. It's actually a solid soundtrack.
It did help with the enemies, like when the enemies were coming, if there was a blood moon or something like that, the music did change.
Yeah.
If you knew that it was the end of night and daytime was coming, that was helpful too.
Yeah, it changed at nighttime too.
Well, the blood moon was easy to spot because it would start raining blood and all the water turns to blood.
But if you're in
that was a way.
Yeah, but if you're in the caves or something, when it turns on, the music changes a big help.
Did the blood moon? I only encountered the blood moon twice, which was also funny in Keith's world. Literally, the second day he got a blood moon, but I was never in a cave. Did the blood moon affect you that much when you're in the caves?
No, like I said, anything that had to do with that. If you're deep in the caves, you don't the goblin attacks, those sorts of things.
All live.
You'll find them. They'll find you but they'll trickle down your entrance. So the further down
this
you
is
are,
a big argument with you guys.
I protest. I don't think that's true. I have different memories because I don't like fighting bad guys. It makes my palms sweaty. I don't enjoy confrontation. That's why I have my
exactly
wand.
what Liz.
I want to shoot you and then run really far away in the opposite direction. And I always felt like at night or in blood moons, it did not matter where you were or what you were doing. They would find you and they would kill you.
And then the other thing too that I really enjoyed with Terraria, Keith, you mentioned it. This game does have a creative mode, but it's like an interesting twist on how they do creative mode.
Oh, are you talking about that duplication?
Yeah, the journey.
Yeah, I think, so I said I was playing around with it. I think I was only using it in the tutorial world is what I was talking about. But it is really cool. And it's, you just, as you're building items or picking up items, you can, it just gives you the option to research them. And every item has a certain number. Once you do that, you can just always replicate that item without having any of the resources for it. And even for you just want to replicate wood, and it gives you a stack of 10,000 wood or something like that. So it's a really cool feature. And because it doesn't, I don't know if there's an even more in-depth creative mode or more creative mode than that, but I feel like it's cool to give you a little bit of reins that you still have to engage in the game without just saying, hey, here's everything. But it makes it a lot easier to do everything because it's 100 gold ore. So just don't use any 100 gold ore for a while, and then you can have infinite gold ore. So it's neat in that aspect.
Yeah, I love that too. I thought it was because we've been playing Minecraft again with our daughter, and it's like we said, if I'm given everything, I don't know what to do with anything. But it was, I thought that was a really interesting twist on, Terraria, where it's just you still got to play the game a little bit. It's very easy, enemies barely do damage to you, but you still got to explore and gather things, and then you can have unlimited of it. So it was a really nice twist of not just being do whatever you want. But yeah, I thought that was nice. But then for the achievements, don't recommend this for achievement hunters. I actually had my achievements glitching on me, which is really unfortunate because this game's been out for a while and it still is giving me some issues. You have obviously in-game achievements, and then of course the Xbox achievements,
and of course the door building achievements.
Oh my gosh! Well, that actually is an achievement to build a house. It's called No Hobo, which I thought was pretty funny. But yeah, when you build your first house. But yeah, I knew it was an achievement. I was I want this dang achievement. But yeah, I love that there's a ton of in-game achievements, but as far as Xbox achievements go, I think there's 40. And yeah, I have the achievement to hit rock bottom, to go to the very bottom of the map. I got that in the game, but it didn't unlock for me on the Xbox. So, little frustrating. But as far as the achievements go, if you know what you're doing, you could probably do them relatively quick because it's usually just beating this boss, beating this boss, beating this boss. And it didn't look like you're restricted to, oh, you can only play on classic difficulty. It looked like you can just do any difficulty, whatever, and just if you want to play on the easy mode and journey mode and just go after him and kill him. Yeah, but like I said, I was having them glitched, so I don't know if they're that worth your time.
We only got 230 gamer score, just to give you a reference. So with how much?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Out of what? Out of how many?
This game has 1,290.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's crazy.
That
so then
is
you guys,
crazy.
so there's probably a lot of optional bosses you didn't kill.
Obviously.
That's nuts, man.
Again, the game was a little different when we were playing too. I think there were only 3 smaller bosses and the main boss.
Oh,
So I don't know how many there are now, but
And then there was just a hard world after that.
yeah.
which is great. That I love that this game just keeps building on itself and it's all free. As far as I saw, I don't think there was any paid DLC. I think it's just mods you can get. But yeah. But anyway, so final thoughts. For me, I love Terraria. I thought Terraria, it took a while for me to warm up to. It is a ton of fun to play with somebody. Even if you have someone who obviously isn't great at video games or knows a lot of video games. Perfect example here is Amber. Like the other game you mostly played was Stardew Valley and Diablo. You also like
I love
Diablo. But
Diablo.
yeah, you obviously don't play a lot, but Terraria was a game that really hooked you. And yeah, I can see why. It was a lot of fun. It has a bit of a learning curve, but if you're with somebody and you're stumbling around together, it makes it way easier. Going into Keith's game and seeing him stumble around by himself, then me being able to kind of give him some guidance. Like it definitely does help. But there's just a lot you can do in Terraria, which is just so impressive. A lot of bosses to fight, a lot of things to explore. For a game like that's 2D and is usually shallow, as 2D games can be, this game has so much depth to it. So it's a fun adventure. For me, this is a good 90. I love the music. To me, some of the crafting was getting a little frustrating of figuring out what to do and how to build things. And I definitely feel like this game was made more for PC, but it obviously was still very functional for me as a controller. And I thought I could play this solo just fine, which is always a huge plus for me.
Yeah, no, I really like Terraria, and honestly, like listening to my children now play this, who are 10 and 8, it makes me want to sit back
Grow
down
up
and
so
play
fast.
it again. I know. And then I'm like, oh, look, there's platinum right there. Yeah, go get the platinum for babies. That's right. But then they ask me things like, how do I craft a door? And I try to help them, and it ends up in a 15-minute debacle of us watching a YouTube video because I have forgotten. And I think if you can get past the clunky building,
I really need to make a YouTube video just to
you
know
need
how
to
to do
put
a
it
door.
in the comments or somewhere on how to build a door for Terraria, because it is a struggle. But once you get past that, the learning curve, the first night without anything, and you're trying to survive all the baddies, it's a super fun game. You could literally lose yourself in your own world. You can customize it. You can make it small. You can make it large. You can make your house however you want. And I think that is why this game shines and does so well, and it's super fun. Like a 92.
I really liked this game. I had a lot of fun with it. Again, biggest draw for me is finding a game that I can play co-op with my wife. I think games that appeal to both of us can be hard to find sometimes, and so a game that's challenging enough and deep enough that I want to play it, but still something that she wants to play that's not super punishing and is kind of fun. I think this kind of hit those notes. I thought the bosses were really good and creative. It gave you a reason to want to do things in the world. I thought the randomly generated maps were cool in the way that they did things and the different surprises you'd find throughout them. And I thought the combat was good enough for like a 2D game that it was, made it fun, made you want to keep playing.
Yeah.
So I give it an 89.
And here comes the pass. All right, Keith, come on.
I had to save the best for last. I never get to go last. I'm always in the middle or something. It's not that I don't like Terraria. It's that I don't
hate it.
like builder games. And that's really the thing is I can totally see why it's easy to sink hours and hours into this game, and I did enjoy my time when Andrew and I were playing. You know, it was kind of got a feel for what I was supposed to be doing, and I can see that, yeah, there is tons and tons to do at Terraria. So it's nothing against the game itself. I just do not like the genre because I just don't overall want to feel like I don't know, crafting a house and all of these things. It's kind of the same as like The Sims and these styles of games. I don't know. I'd rather just go hack and slash my way, which you can do a little bit of within Terraria, and the fighting's kind of fun, and it looks like you can get into some really cool stuff. But at the end of the day, I want my first person or third person shooter or whatever it may be, action RPG. Or
roguelike.
Yeah. Or give me a good
we know what
roguelike.
you want, Keith. You want a roguelike.
It doesn't even have to really be a good one. I will probably sink my teeth into it more than I will a game like Terraria. So it's just a pass for me, and that's really all there is to it. But the music's really good. It's got a cool design. There's really a ton of cool stuff. Like when you go, even without playing the game or wanting to play the game, I can enjoy and appreciate going on, like, you know, the Terraria subreddit or YouTube and like seeing what people do and create with the game, because it is fascinating. So I give it all the credit for that, but it's just not for me. So I'm giving it a pass. But as
now, I want to ask you, Keith,
Yeah.
though, like, I feel like you could argue that this is more of a hack and slash than it is a builder. Like, I know you do build and you're obviously crafting stuff, but to me, I feel like this was more of a builder. So, like,
maybe.
I also want to ask you, whatever score you're about to give, like, where does this rank compared to other, like, I guess, builder games?
If I'm comparing it to others, I'd probably play this over Minecraft.
What about Valheim?
Valheim's tough. I actually think I would probably want to. I go back to I just want to see where Valheim goes, and I know it's in a pretty finished state, but I still just want to see where it is when it comes out of game preview more than anything. But I would put this probably on par with it. Like, I actually enjoyed the combat and feeling like that is more of the end goal of the gameplay, but I still just it's not the style for me, because it's even why I don't always, and I still love Sea of Thieves, but it's why I don't play it as much as a game that feels like I need to sit down and play it for 3 hours to feel like I've accomplished anything. Isn't something I can do. I want a game that I will play for 3 hours, and I'll do that with a Diablo or anything, but I want to know that I can just, I don't know, put it down and I didn't waste my time up to that point. So I will say, though, as a score, because I just, you know, the things like the music and the soundtrack and all of that, I still think it's worthy of a solid 80 for me, despite being a pass. It was a really long-winded pass. But I blame Andrew because he asked.
As you tend to do.
Well, you asked me a question, so that was a lot
Yeah.
part of it. So it's also blame Andrew if I said too many things. But yeah, 80 and pass.
All right. And then I forgot about this because I'm so used to Liz doing it, but so I had to quickly pull it up. But as far as Metacritic score goes for the Xbox One for Terraria, it has a Metascore of 84 and a user score of 7.9. As far as reading reviews, I didn't look any up. That's usually... I forgot to do that because I'm used to Liz doing that.
Too much work.
So we're just going to wrap it up here. So thank you all so much for joining us. I've been your hardcore gamer host, Andrew. You can find me on Xbox Live at Firebird0952. If you want to reach out to us or find any of our links, go to GamePassGrabBag.com. You will find our email address and where all our links are. So come on by, say hi, and give us some game recommendations. Thank you again so much to the user, the Pitcher, and the Rich King, who recommended that we play this game.
I have been Keith and Rich King and the Pitcher. You get a collective score on this one. I'm going to combine it, and I'm just going to give you guys a collective 80, but it's not an average 80. It's a shared 80. You can divvy up who gets the most points out of that between yourselves. 40 each probably, but I don't know if you guys want to duke it out over 1 or 2 points. You're welcome to do that. But you guys get a collective 80.
I love you give them the options.
Oh, Dave and Amber get easily 100 each because they joined us. So
Do they have to divvy that up too?
No.
So 50
there's-
each. So
Don't worry, I'll beat David
Oh,
up
okay.
and
So
take
fail.
this. It's fine.
there's 100 as an average.
Like I said, I'll beat David
Nice.
up and take his. It's fine.
okay. You can have one.
That's actually better. I like that one.
All right, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us. We love you all. We'll see you again next week.
Bye.
Bye.